Hi, Missy.
Hi.
Welcome to the TTD podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. It's late at night. What time do you usually sleep?
I sleep at 9.
9.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't have a sleeping time, so I sleep when I'm tired. So I generally, after work, I sleep maybe 1 hour, and then I wake up, then sleep very late in the night. So
I know that.
I hope you don't doze off.
Fingers crossed.
There's someone I know, they when it's 8, they just doze off. They don't care whether you're talking to the phone or you are talking to them face to face. But when it's 8, they sleep.
They sleep.
I hope you won't doze off.
The body's already used to. No, I won't doze off.
Yeah.
But I'm really tired.
Yeah. So you wear many hats. I want us to talk to a couple of them. One of them is that you are a wife. You are a mother.
Yeah.
A businesswoman. HR professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope really you will inspire a few people that follow this channel. Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you grew up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for having me in your show. May I kindly know what the TTD stands for?
So TTD is the talk desk.
The talk desk.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes the desk is visible, sometimes it's not.
Okay. Okay. Congratulations on the talk desk.
Thank you.
Podcast.
Thank you.
I grew up Kolekeshaneng.
Okay.
Gozola.
Lokshin.
Yes.
Okay.
At a Lokshin in Old Naledi. And then I think I went to the village around when I was doing standard 4 or so.
Okay. You don't want to say you don't want to expose how old you are.
That just shows how old I am. The fact that I forgot the years. So I'm really old. So I don't even need to explain anything.
Okay.
Yes. So I grew up at a Lokshin, and I moved from that Lokshin style to being a village girl.
Wow.
So yeah.
From Lokshin to village.
From Lokshin to village.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
Okay. So Lokshin is in Gaps, right? So which village did you move to? How old were you then?
How old was I?
Yeah.
You see, now we're talking about age. Like, I think I was probably around 9 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah. But prior moving to the village, I grew up in Old Naledi.
So what's the name of the village?
Jagalas number 2.
Shout out to people from Jag 2.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you went to primary the rest of your life in the village?
Yeah.
Okay. And then junior, secondary?
I did it in Gaborone.
Senior, you came back to Gaps?
Came back to Gaps.
Cool stuff. And you went on and studied HR?
Yeah.
Is it something you love? Was it something you've always loved to do?
No.
Yeah.
No. I originally wanted to be a dietitian.
Okay.
Yes. I never ever wanted to be an HR personnel before. I wanted to be a dietitian. I just wanted to do anything that had to do with sciences. And dietitian was one of those things where I felt like, okay, I think I can try and recommend some proper food for people. And it was kind of fancy. I don't think I really understood what it meant and why I should be it. But I think it had to do with sciences. But then, God being God, when I got to varsity and I did environmental science, and then we're doing double major, then I had to choose human resource management, which I think was one of the best things because I really, really love to work with people. So
awesome.
HR has really exposed me to working with individuals from different backgrounds and assisting them.
Very few people like to work with people. I think a lot of times people really want to work with people, but they're not really built to work with people. And of course, there's people who do well working with people, and I'm sure you're one of those few people. So then the change from wanting to be a dietitian, falling into HR, you just sailed through.
I just sailed through.
Okay.
I sailed through.
Okay. So you studied HR and what?
Environmental science.
Where is that side of your life?
I never even did anything about it. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, you know what? I need to do something about it. I seriously need to do something about it.
Okay.
I think I'm going to be doing something.
Do you think you like it? When you talk about environmental science, I'm seeing you waking outside in the sun.
Well, yeah and no.
Okay.
I mean, it depends. It depends from what angle. I was about to say to you, I think I'm going to be finding myself going that route, simply because I'm going through, or I'm going into another business where I do some organic products where I'll have to definitely take advantage of our plants and all that, and try and do some research and see how positively impactful it can be to our skin and all that. So I think it's kind of related. Cool. Maybe you'll be seeing myself campaigning for no cutting of moana trees and no cutting of some specific trees, simply because they are beneficial to our health. Either you consume them or as cosmetics.
Cool. And that lends us straight into what you're currently doing. So you into the beauty industry.
Yes.
Do you have, what's the percentage of clients you have between males and females, men and women, who contributes a lot to your business, or who is inclined to be your customer?
It's a balance. When you talk about the beauty side of it, yeah, it's a balance.
Really?
Yeah.
So men want to be beautiful nowadays?
Yeah, I'm not only in the beauty industry, it's the beauty and the wellness when it comes to massaging and...
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you find a lot of men wanting to be massaged?
Yeah.
Than women?
No, it's a balance.
Okay.
Yeah. These days, massage is not luxury. It's a necessity. We're going through a lot, and sometimes we just need to relax and be massaged and break those knots and just be away, detached from all the things that contributes to our stress. So it's no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. So, but then over time, I've seen a balance between male and females.
How many times would you recommend? The frequency of getting a massage?
Every month.
Every month. Cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm laughing because I don't get a massage that often, and I wonder what's the impact. What am I missing out?
Yeah, especially with the nature of your job. I mean, you should definitely be getting a massage. Okay.
I talk a lot, so people who talk a lot in the massage. Part of my job is I talk a lot. Or do you mean sitting on the bench? You're gonna mix.
Yeah, sitting on the bench. Yeah.
Okay. Cool stuff. And you do flowers as well.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you start the flower business? Has it always been something you've known? Do you know someone who was in the industry that did flowers and were an inspiration to you?
Not necessarily. I'm passionate about entrepreneurship, first of all, and one of my beliefs is that when you start a business, you must look for a problem and bring a solution to it. And my motto for the business for flowers is bringing happiness to your doorstep.
Oh, beautiful.
I am, even up to today, I'm passionate about young relationships, young and old relationships, like seeing that spark being revived and seeing love, just seeing people being loved and seeing people being appreciated. I grew up alone most of my childhood, and I always felt a gap in my life. I always felt like I wouldn't want to say unappreciated, but because I wasn't interacting a lot with a lot of people, I was kind of like a loner. I lacked a lot of what do you call it? As a child, you definitely need some validations and some well done and some appreciation and some love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I felt like it's not just something that is in my life. It's something that's across many households, and in the African home setup, you wouldn't just find a man saying to a wife, I love you, and they give you a kiss and all that. Back then, these days we see it. So by the time I started this business, it was still not a popular thing in our country to say you're buying someone flowers and all that. It was kind of like people were like shy, men were like shy. It's something that we knew or we could see taking place on television or like in white races, or in white people's lives, white people's relationships. So when I started this business, I felt like there is a gap in terms of love and expressing yourself to your loved ones via gifting and in whatever way, even if it's not gifting. Like, people were not expressive enough, because what we do is after we arrange your package, there's also a note that you need to write, try and express yourself, how you feel about that person. Of course, you probably have said it via your mouth, or you have said it before, or maybe you've never even said it. So it's usually nice to get a note and you find that somebody just expressed themselves of how much they love you. So when I started this business, it was in 2014 actually.
Okay.
On the 14th,
11 years ago.
11 years ago, on the 14th of February.
You started on Valentine?
On Valentine.
Interesting.
And then I was like, I still remember my first client. I think, please do expect a gift. I think I should do that. I should gift them and say, you are one of my first.
You remember them?
Yes.
How come?
I do.
Okay.
One of my first client. It was a couple at church.
Oh, okay.
So
that's how you remember them.
That's how I remember them. So
okay.
I started then in 2014 simply because I wanted to close the gap in the love industry.
Okay.
And not only a love between a man and a woman, or a girl and a boy, but also family.
Okay.
Try and say you can appreciate your father, you can appreciate your mother, you can appreciate your sister.
Why love? What is it about love that, you know? Because I like the fact that you're saying that, you know, the love, when it comes to love, I'm sure you're talking about all sorts of relationships. But why love? Why is it so important in our society? Why is expressing love so important in our societies?
We exist because of love. Yes.
Okay.
Even biblically.
Okay.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son.
John 3:16.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I am here today because of love.
What is love? Because I just want you to validate where you're coming from. What is, how do you define love? You know, you don't have to give me a dictionary. What does it mean to you?
I'll go back to what I just said, that we exist because of love. Ne? And then I quoted a scripture that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He gave, and we're talking about gifts and flowers and all that. And if the God that created us believes in love, and he probably exists because of love when it comes to us. It's all about love. So to me, love is God.
Okay.
Yes. And when I say God, that's the umbrella word. Love is God. Love is patience. Love is appreciation. Love is acknowledgement. Love is goodness.
Okay, I see. So, yeah, you were still telling me about why it's so important.
It's so
in the
important
society.
because we exist today because of love. You know what science says? Science says we are made up of water, right? This is the body.
Yeah,
right? We're made up
the
of
body is
water.
about 70% water.
Water.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about water because I just wanted to make an illustration of why I want to say love holds a very higher percentage in terms of us as human beings created by God. We were created out of love. And if there is any other component that was mixed together with love, those components, they hold a very small percentage as compared to the love. So we cannot exist without love. It's impossible to exist in hate. Where in hate, I'm going to use hate because hate is the opposite of love. But there are other components under hate. There's other things that you put under hate. So it is important that we have love in our societies, in our households, in our communities, in our relationships, because we're made of love.
Okay.
I don't know if you get it.
I get it.
It sounds too technical, but...
Yes, it sounds very technical. So, talking about love, do you think you can notice someone who lacks love or lacks being loved? Is it easy to notice that person?
Yeah.
How do you notice them?
There's
different. Something in my mind I'm thinking.
It's different.
Yeah.
There's people that really behave in an abnormal way.
Like?
There's kids. Let me just tone it down to kids, not people our age.
Yeah.
There's kids who we have seen misbehaving simply because they have probably lacked love from their parents, or probably they were raised by one parent and they never got to experience the warmth of having a father or the warmth of having a mother, and because of that they retaliate to the environment meaning people or anything that is around them. And then there's other ones, you can notice them by seeing such things. But some, perhaps they have received the love and they still behave like that. And then there are those that have lacked love, but you will not be able to notice. But then if you are wise, you will notice. Because if you are wise, you will notice. Most people that have lacked love, that are not acting weirdly or are not misbehaving, they tend to show a lot of love to people. They tend to be so supportive. They show up in people's lives. They buy them gifts. They do all the things that they have never been, they've never experienced to those people. So sometimes you check out those things. The person is over loving, over gifting, over caring, over doing that. Just check. Some, of course, they do that because it has been a norm. It's part of their blood. It's what they've experienced. So they're simply giving out what they have experienced in their life. But some are simply communicating that I need this as well. So they do it because they lack it and they want it back. Yeah.
So they get bent.
A lot of
because
time.
I would imagine sometimes, someone shows love towards the other person, but it takes long for them to
receive the same. Yeah.
And how do you deal with that
when you don't receive the same?
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. But I want to believe that those people that go through that are one of the strong people ever. Because it's very rare where we find a particular individual who has gone through what you just shared and they become bitter forever. A lot of them, you'll find out that even after they get banned, they'll still repeat it. They'll still repeat it to the next person. They'll still do the same thing. So it's they're tough because they've never experienced that love before. So even if they get burned out, they fall and they rise up again. So dealing with it is just usually I think, now I've got that experience with myself. I think it's one of those things where you sit down and you say, you know what, I cancel myself. I'm never going to put myself through this again. And then 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days later, you forget about it, and then you're back again to square one. So it's just embedded in us. Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about love in a relationship, man and woman's relationship. Do you think it is unconditional? Do you think love should be unconditional? And is it so?
God is the only one that can give us love that is unconditional.
So a love between a man and a woman is always conditional. Is that what you're saying?
In a way, yes, I think so.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying that, you know, we talk a lot about how, you know, earlier on you're talking about how people receive love. People do things to people so that they do the same back to them. And nowadays, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about the fact that, you know, for you to show a woman that you love her is to give her money. How true is that? I
don't know. Every woman can speak for themselves, right?
Let me talk to you, Ne. I know you're not representing all women. I just want to hear your opinion. What is okay? How do you feel about it? You know, the fact that, you know, people say for you to show that. Do you feel the same way? Is money love to you?
Yeah, I was about to say, you know, there are different love languages, right?
Yeah.
And we all know them. The words of affirmation and all that.
Gifts
and
then
as per an individual, they will obviously come in different priorities, like the first one being that one and the second one being that one.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to answer for myself, money for me is not top one. It's not number one.
Yeah.
Of course it's important. Of course it's important to have all the necessities that you would need. Of course, that are going to need money. You know, of course you will need money to purchase 1 or 2 or 3 things. But where I am standing, it's I don't know, maybe it's because I am able to make money myself. So it's not.
If you're not able to make money for yourself, do you think your
perspective
priority love language would probably change?
I don't know, my friend.
You don't know?
I don't know.
You're not in that situation.
I'm not in that situation. So perhaps I'll be saying the same thing like the rest of the other women that are saying the
What's
same
your
thing.
love language?
Words of affirmation.
What is your love language at work? What do you want your colleagues to? Is it the same as what you want from your relationship?
There's appreciation for fall under words of affirmation as well.
It's under words of affirmation.
Kind of, yeah.
So it's the same. I like touch, but I definitely don't like touch when I'm with colleagues or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I like quality time. Yeah. So this thing goes around a lot that you know, women understand money. And there's also a saying that...
But then what do you do with the money?
You know, that's where I was going to. Ne? I think what I've seen is that, you know, we were having a discussion the other day with my colleagues, and, you know, so there were 2 gentlemen. One was saying, for me, you know, when I show a woman that I love her, or in fact, they were asking, you know, couple of ladies choose, do you want a man who bring a combo? A combo, you know, is, you know, food, groceries, or a man who brings you flowers. If they were the same amount, which one is a true man to you? And you know, both answers depended on where, you know, the woman is at that time, you know, because you know, as we were discussing, you know, they came to a conclusion that, you know what, there's a season where you want flowers, and there's, you know, ladies who've grown, you know, it's all about responsibility.
Yeah,
they'll appreciate a combo of food or groceries more than flowers.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was just saying. As much as I'm saying, of course, I can make my own money and sell flowers and everything, there are other things that I really can't afford.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
as like we are talking about women that will be saying, I want flowers. I saw the post as well. There are those ones that were saying they want flowers. And I totally understand, because you can't be going to Woolworths or the florist shop and buying yourself flowers and writing sweet messages to yourself. But you can afford to get combo for yourself.
So the important thing there is not flowers. It's who
It's
bought
the thought.
them. It's who bought them.
It's the thought and who bought them, yes. And the thought that,
Now, I've seen ladies who buy flowers for themselves.
It's not easy.
And I think with the pressure from social
it's not
media,
easy, my friend. I've definitely seen that in the industry that I'm in. As a florist, I've seen people buying flowers for themselves. You go and deliver at their office, and they receive the flowers. They write a message.
No ways.
I'm telling you.
So it's
but they are
pressure.
able to get combo for themselves.
Yes, they can afford.
They can afford. But then,
so why would they send flowers to themselves?
Probably it's the pressure. Like,
to show there's no one sending them
no
flowers.
one is sending flowers, so let me do it for myself.
You're not sending me flowers anymore, so I'll get them for myself.
But anyway, sometimes you just need to spoil.
You know,
yourself.
how do you feel about the fact that we do a lot of things for people? Do you think that's dangerous? Do you think that's a good thing?
That's dangerous, of course, but then it depends. Because as much as we will be saying we don't want to live for people, we don't want to do things for people, people make part of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's true, there is Batabatlaring. Batabatlaring governs us. Batabatlaring fuels morality. Batabatlaring helps us to decide good things and bad things at the same time, and prioritizing people before we could prioritize ourselves. So it's a 50-50 thing. It depends on what the situation is. But of course, we shouldn't live our lives based on what people will say, unless it's in situations where we know, of course, that right, you cannot be going to you know what I mean. But there's situations where you have to do things for yourself and leave because life is too short. But then living for people will always make part of our lives, because like I've already mentioned, governs us. Makes us to live in a very safe community. I mean, you can't say because I want to go and stab that person with a knife and then you say I have to do what I want to do. Think about the community. That's why we have the police officers. That's why we have different government officials put in place for such things.
Yeah, quite an interesting perspective. But do you think that gives us freedom to live the lives we want?
What?
Living according to other people's lives, other people's expectations.
Please ask the question again.
Does it not limit people from living their lives?
It does, in a way.
So we should live with limitations.
As long as it's things that we all know, the community will obviously be against that, simply because it's a harm not only to yourself but also to the community. Because living for other people, got situations where we usually say we're living for other people, it's probably someone saying or going after someone's husband or someone's wife. I'm giving an example with those extreme ones. And then you say, but I love her. You understand? Yeah, but then if everybody's going to be saying, I want to live my life, like I don't want to live for everyone, then we're going to be having a very distorted community.
It's going to be a chaos.
It's going to be a chaos.
But do you think that's possible?
To do it?
To love another person.
I think so.
Yeah. So now what you are saying, but Tobatlaren should restrain you from going further.
Yes, and that's why we even have the Bible.
What if you're not happy?
That's why we even have the Bible. If you're not happy, you made a wrong decision. I mean, that's a different thing. Like every house has a door that can be opened and be closed.
You know, as a woman who is Christian, right? And you know, tend to side to the morality side of things. What do you think are to you? What should be the basis for divorce?
Obviously, adultery.
Obviously.
That's what we like, obviously, because I know that's what the Word of God says. You said as a Christian woman.
Yeah.
Hey, but then we adultery, my friend.
Yeah. Just
Adultery,
that.
my friend. That's me.
Okay.
Hey. And
Only that.
do you want to help me?
No, I don't want to help you
Yeah.
because I just wanted to.
Well, that I'm taking the extremist. Like when I say adultery, that's my final bus stop. But I know, of course. One time we had a topic about compatibility in one of our in our other podcast when you spoke about can compatibility fade away and all that. But, you know, when it comes to being married or being in a relationship, it's a journey that needs to be worked out. There's some certain things that will piss you off in the way. There's some certain things that will not align with how you guys used to be before. There's some certain things, and depending on the severity of whatever that is taking place, someone may say to me, simply because this man does not communicate well in time with me or does not do certain things, I am leaving. So I was just giving you the extreme one, my final one. But of course there are other little ones, as according to me, I'll be saying little ones, but they probably look like they're little, but they have a very major impact.
Do you think there's extreme adultery and soft adultery?
My friend, adultery is adultery.
I'll tell you why I'm saying that, because the same Bible says if you look at I think it was talking to men and lesbians, right? If you look at a woman, I tell you, what does it say? If you look at a woman lustfully, you have already committed adultery.
Dude, this
in
life
your
has
heart.
got no
That's
balance.
what I was saying. Which adultery? Because a lot of us have committed that one.
My friend, do I have proof?
No. You don't have to have proof.
Exactly.
The point is, and you're not trying to say if I don't catch you.
No.
I'm
not saying that.
Yeah, why are you talking about proof?
I mean, like adultery. When I'm talking about adultery, I would have caught you, right?
Okay.
Hey, I would have caught you. No,
or
looking. I would have caught you in the act, my friend. If at all there was an act, or I would have caught messages and everything.
So this one that I'm talking about.
Because I can't see it, my friend.
Yeah.
Hey, it's your own sins in your own corner.
You
deal with them with God.
If I came to you and said, I really speak loud when I see those waves there.
Yeah.
If I came and said, you know what, this afternoon I went to the shopping to do shopping, and I saw this woman. I lasted up there because also the Bible says, you need to confess our issues to one another. If I came to you and said, you know what, I'm so sorry, I looked at a woman the second time. Will that no, you're saying no, like, but the Bible is saying this thing is the same.
It's the same, but I'm not
because
God.
Everything starts there.
I'm not God, my friend, to come and say because you thought about it.
You know why I'm saying this? Because you said for you the basis of
my love, adultery, when I have really caught you that Where are you going with the question?
No, I totally get you, ne? But if I just want you to imagine this, ne? If everyone got caught.
In thinking? In their thoughts?
If got caught physically, and if there was a way that, there isn't a way until someone says it or you see them actually watching. I remember that comedy, the clip I saw. I don't know, it's like this fathers from a Roman Catholic church, and then the other one caught the other one watching the ladies and say, hey, go and confess. So if all of us were caught, how do you think that would be?
As in thoughts?
Both.
Obviously, if you get caught physically, there'll be a lot of chaos. But then, the mind one, my friend, how do you get caught unless you confess?
Of course, the mind one is more frequent than the physical one, right? But my point is, do you think we need to forgive more?
We do.
Because if you don't forgive more, it will be chaos. Even outside of marriage or relationships, even at work. But there will be people who will tell you, no, I have forgiven. It's enough. There's people that don't take nonsense. They've been through that path before, and they don't compromise.
Especially if it keeps on repeating and repeating. So that's the part where you're like, okay, cool, I exit. Going back to your question, what's my deal break?
Yeah.
We've tried. So a mistake is done once. Once it's the second time, the third time, the fourth time, it's no longer a mistake, it's a habit.
What do you think of long distance relationships? Would you be in one?
Yeah.
How well would you do? First, what do you think of them generally before I get to you?
People in long distance relationships, I really feel for them. I don't know how they manage.
Manage what?
Manage in terms of loneliness.
Okay.
In terms of loneliness and in terms of the companionship, fellowship and all that. I don't know how they manage. Of course, we do have cell phones and we do have emails and we do have all that, but it's one of those situations that I really don't desire for us. Not because I'll not be able to control or handle myself, but I really don't know how they manage. But I believe that it's...
Maybe you haven't been in that situation.
I haven't been in that situation, but I believe it's doable for those that really love each other and are able to manage and they're coping in whatever way. But then it becomes a disadvantage for those that are already sexually active or married or all that. And I really don't know how they cope, my friend.
According to the law, when you are married to a person, you are married to them, whether you stay together or you don't stay together, right? That's why I was asking that question. What do you think of long distance relationship? And I actually wanted to tie it to the fact that, marriage is a contract between two people.
Yeah.
Okay? But do you think we need to involve the government?
It goes back to the point that I was saying earlier, that today we have the police so that they can help govern the communities in terms of ensuring that morality takes place and things that are not okay are not taking place. But what can we say? We have been given the government to rule us on this earth. So we will definitely need the government, because they also have some responsibilities in ensuring that body census to know how many people who are married. The government has got responsibility to ensure that they know their citizens, and such information will be required. And knowing also that I don't know if in other countries it's happening like that, but I think the fact that marriage is being controlled by the government also helps and eases a lot of trouble, and also aligns with the Bible in terms of ensuring that one woman, one man, though culturally they will still accept one man, 3 women, or 4 women. As we know, even in our country we have.
In Botswana there isn't a law like that, but I'm sure there's countries that allow for multiple partners in a marriage. But I wanted to follow up and ask you, does love have anything to do with marriage? Because there's a lot of things you can't prove that happened or haven't happened. The reason I'm saying that, because marriage, as soon as you marry, you say marriage. Of course, there's a spiritual context, but legally, marriage follows certain rules according to the law. But there's certain things you can't prove in the law. Okay, you can't prove how much you love someone. If you were to prove it in a court of law, you probably have to count a number of things, list a number of things. You can say, I know I love this man 100%, and you prove it just by talking, right? So that's where my question is coming from. Do you think this thing is slowing down? Do you think marriage has anything to do with love?
I'll take you backwards to the times before we were born. Way back there. Some women were just getting married families were arranging marriages for their children and all that for different reasons. I don't think there was any love. A lot of women were told you, Are, and then you learn to love the man, and then whether the man beats you or do what, marriage has got nothing to do with love. But of course there has to be love first, and then that agreement or that companionship. But I will not put marriage in, then put love here and say this marriage has got to do anything to do with love.
Cool. Mercy, thank you so much. I'll call you for part 2.
Okay.
It was nice chatting to you.
Okay. No, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate.
Cool. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, guys. See you. We'll talk later. Bye.